Hello people, welcome back to the channel. Today you join me and we're going to be fitting a new motor to the Baja. There's a motor in here, 30.5 from King Motor I believe, or might even be a Rothan. I've had a little bit of a nightmare with it. Sometimes it runs, sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it wants to start, sometimes it doesn't. So I bit the bullet and I bought this beast. It's a O'Neill Brothers Zenoa 30.5 billet cased full mod racing engine. We've also got a 1275 carb. Notice the black primer bulb. This is ethanol resistant, so if you're using the new E10 fuel that we have in the UK, it's not going to corrode your carburetor, cause this bulb to blow out. You'll also notice this is a chokeless carb. There's a few good ways to get this up and running. Once we've got this motor fitted, we'll go into it all. We'll do a couple of running and braking videos, get this motor running nicely, idling 15 minutes, cooling down, running around. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. Let's get some power in this beastie. Okay, so the first thing we're going to need to do is obviously take the shell off the vehicle and then take the old motor out. There's going to be quite a bit involved in doing this because I've got to swap the clutch assembly over. So a lot of this will probably get time lapsed for you guys, so you're not having to sit there and watch. Now of course I've got the Team Chase cage on here as well, which makes things a little bit more fun because you've got to take all of this off to get to it. There we go, that's the cage off. So here we have the original motor that came out of the car, or that's still in the car should I say, and I think one of the first things we're going to start to do, use the old Coast Guard flying past. So we're going to get this stripped out. So I'm going to start by removing the exhaust. Taking this out of the way. A couple of Allen key bolts. Exhaust out, which is a clone of the DDN Dominator. Right, so we're going to have to remove clutch and flywheel assembly because the clutch needs to swap over to the new car, or the new engine, as there's no clutch on the new engine, which I didn't think there would be. go. So we've just removed the plate off the side there, and now we've got to remove this brace and bolt there, and then hopefully the 4 bolts from underneath the engine, 3 bolts from underneath the engine, and that will just slide on out. So, got the old engine removed. This is a 30.5, I think it's a King motor engine. Give it a clean up maybe and have a look and see if we can find any markings on it. But I need to swap the clutch assembly over, as you can see there, onto the new engine, and then we can put this one in, and we'll give it a run and break in and get it going. But first we need to swap this clutch over, so let's crack on with that. Should be interested actually, because I wasn't sure if the clutch was perhaps a bit low, and because this is a enclosed clutch carrier I couldn't see anything on it, so should be interesting to see if it has worn or whether it's behaving itself. Quite tight. Break that off there. There we go. Wow, that clutch looks in very good condition. So I don't think the clutch was a problem at all, which is good news. Right, just going to take a break there because I need to go and get my socket set out and some rags so we can get the piston stopper so that I can take the clutch off. So be right back. Okay, so first thing we've got to do is take the spark plug out. Spark plug removed, a bit black, but still it's not a bad thing. I don't know if this is going to be thin enough, I might need a bit of rope actually. Actually, do you know what, I think we'll go in through, there we go, we'll cheat, we'll go in through the exhaust port there, just stuff a bit of cloth and rag in there, that stops the piston going up and down, so that we can undo the clutch. It's an easy way if you haven't got a piston stopper, that will stop the piston turning. Saves you going out and buying one, doesn't it, people? And now you'll see when we go to undo the clutch, it's going to turn a little bit, and then there we go, piston's jammed up against the cloth, so we can spin that out. Otherwise you try and undo these and the piston will just go up and down inside the head, you'll never undo the bolts, you'll just keep turning them round and round and round. So you can even go and spend 10 quid on a piston stopper that screws in. It's basically a bit longer than a spark plug and a nylon piece, so the piston hits that and stops it turning instead of using a bit of rag. Personally, I think the hobby's expensive enough, so if you can save a couple of quid here and there, why not? So this clutch is in very good condition, which is good. Saves me 20 quid on a new clutch for the OBR, because if that was worn, the OBR would have definitely skimmed it up. All the dust and dirt inside here is unbelievable from having an enclosed clutch carrier, but it does keep the sand and dirt out, which prevents your clutch wearing quite as quickly, which is a good thing. So now we've got to take the clutch carrier off, which is this bit here. I might need to get a puller on this, so they don't always come off. Another trick you can use is winding a couple of bolts right through those to push it off. Which I may well have to do, because that looks a bit corroded on there. So what we'll do is we'll get a couple of these longer ones here. Is that the right thread? No. Not the right thread, so we won't use that bolt, but we can use that one. There we go, magic. So as I say, what we're going to do, look, is we're going to wind this bolt right down onto the casing, like so, and we're just going to gently turn it down into that. There we go, one little pop. Wind it out again. And then we'll thread that in on the other side, and that should hopefully pop this carrier off. If not, I'm going to have to go and get the puller out the toolbox. See, winding down onto the case, and it's lifting straight off. There we go. So that's an easy way to remove your clutch carrier, people. If you haven't got a puller handy, just use a longer bolt and that will push it off. Got to remember to take the bolt out. There we go, so that's your clutch carrier. And now we just need to remove the clutch housing. One. Two. 3, and one more to break off down here. 4, making sure you don't lose the little spring washers on the end of these bolts. Yeah, it was a King motor engine. Just seen it stamped on the bottom of the flywheel housing now. Go. So all 4 spring washers and bolts out. If you guys have a look here, you can just see it says King motor on the engine now. So that's the clutch housing. So one spare. In fact, I think I can see what my problem was. It looks like that block there, the isolator block, is a little bit warped. I bet you that was half the problem that I was having with this, is that isolator block was warped. So as it was getting hot, it was warping and causing it to air leak. So what I might do in the future is put a billet one on there and see if that runs any better. But at least I've got a spare for Bash Fest this year. Worst case scenario, if anything goes wrong, I've got a spare engine, so happy days. Right, so OBR, put clutch housing or clutch carrier onto this, like so, making sure you've got your spring washers on your bolts. That's annoying. I'm going to need some slightly smaller bolts. Because they don't seem to fit. So yeah, that's the first problem I've encountered. Right, so let's have a look in the toolbox and see if we can find some smaller bolts. Right, back again. GoPro battery died. So yeah, found a way around this. What we're going to do is just use a couple of little washers. It's always handy to get yourself a little kit of washers like this, because you never know when you're going to need them, just to help shim things up. And all we're going to do is put a couple of these washers over the bolt to start with. They were just a fraction too long, and then our spring washer, and then once we tighten that all down, there we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, nicely tightened up. There we go. So that's our clutch housing on, and we've got to pop the clutch carrier back on there, and again we're going to have to use the rudimentary piston stopper. You'll see what I mean on this in a minute. Here we go. So if I try and tighten this up without a piston stopper or a rag, there you go, look, it's just spinning around, so we can't tighten that fully, because obviously it's just turning the piston. It's a lovely compressor on this engine. So again, we're just going to stuff our bit of rag, clean rag obviously, especially with a brand new engine. Don't want to induce any dirt to the motor. Is that enough in there? Yeah, look at that. So that's now on there nice and tight. And then we have to refit our clutch. making sure that we remember to put the washers on the back side of the clutch there. Without dropping them, of course, like I just have. There we go. 1, 2, right, so we have the little spring washer or compression washer on the front, that goes through, and then the bigger washer on the back. And that goes straight onto our engine like so. Okay. Right, so clutch installed. 8K red spring. Just give the clutch housing a little wipe out there. Now it's got to go back on here. And then finally, the last thing to do is connect up the kill switch. Oh, do you know what? I didn't put my clutch bell in. Ah, that was a silly mistake to make, wasn't it? Right, let's undo these three quickly. You'll find when you're doing this as a hobby, you often make little mistakes like this. If you get to do things, yeah, oh, I'll do that, go back to it, and then, whoops. Right, clutch bell. Spur gear. Beautiful. Go. Right, so let's put the clutch back on. Give that a little nip up. There we go. Obviously that top bolt goes in through part of the chassis. So there we go. Right, okay. So we have our pinion gear, clutch spinning freely. Next thing we've got to do is just pop this off, because we need to fit our kill switch to it. So it's almost sacrilege, isn't it, taking apart a brand new engine? But when it's got to be done, it's got to be done. This is only the fan cover anyway, it's not really taking apart the whole engine. But I don't like the idea of running something this big on fish scale without having a kill switch. When you've got something that weighs 25 kilo, give or take. Excuse the person in the background. And the nosy Frenchie, of course, which you can see sitting here. Likes to get involved in everything. And one more. And that's our fan casing removed. Like so. Right, so we're just going to solder on some wires onto here, and then we'll come back to it. Right, so we've put the additional kill switch wires onto the switch there, so soldered them onto the back of the connector, and that way at least this button will still work and you can kill the engine that way. And then we've got our connectors coming out the back here by the flywheel, which is absolutely perfect for what we want. And of course now it wants to start raining. Alright, so we're now ready to put that back in the baja. Right people, so we have the O'Neill Brothers engine fitted and installed. My next challenge is to see if we can start it. So you join me on the first startup of the OBR 30.5 Full Mod. Strap our battery in. because we will need that for the kill switch, otherwise it won't start. Now, controller on, car on, kill switch activated. We're already primed. Now, I've been told the way to do this is, oh dear, what's going on there then? That's not good. Okay, so it was just the engine casing. That's got so much compression. It was just the engine casing rubbing on the flywheel there that was giving me an issue. So let's see if this old girl starts.